Welcome back, Helldivers. I've finally had some time playing around with the mechs, the XO45, the exosuit in Helldivers 2, and I want to tell you everything I know, from the basics to the movement to your damage output, like how many shots does it take to kill a Bile Titan or a Charger, what level of armor can you penetrate with the machine gun. But also I want to move on to how much damage you can absorb, what things you should avoid, what things you can absorb, and even other aspects that I discovered, like you are fire resistant. Sort of. I will link all the chapters down below so you can skip ahead as you'll want. Alright, starting with the basics in case you missed the last couple of days, we got a major order to liberate Tien Quan, and once we did that, the stratagem for the exosuits unlocked. You can go to your stratagems in your ship management, and at the very bottom under robotics workshop, it will cost you 20,000 requisition slips, and it is a level 25. You can't see that here because I'm above level 25, but it's level 25 and 20,000. Don't worry if you press purchase and it doesn't quite work. The servers have been getting slammed and I couldn't purchase it. I had to log off, then I couldn't log back on. When I finally got back on, it worked and I could purchase it and unlock the stratagem. If you're not level 25 or don't have enough requisition slips, that's okay. As part of the Galactic War, Joel has given us the stratagem anyway. Everyone gets a freebie. It's in effect right in play right now. If you're watching this video at a later date, it may no longer be there. In fact, it probably won't be there. But for the moment, everybody gets access to the stratagem. You'll see it also available in your mission stratagems when you're selecting your loadout. You can call in the XO45 twice, but it has a 10-minute cooldown. It is a huge cooldown, but there is a catch here because of the freebie you get with the mission stratagem. When you load in, if you selected your personal stratagem to have an exosuit, you actually have access to 3 exosuits. You have 2 charges on your normal one, and then you have the mission one, which is like your freebie. And the cool thing about this is their cooldowns are separate. When you call in an exosuit, it uses the charge of your normal exosuit stratagem first. That goes on a 10-minute cooldown, but you still have your freebie, the mission stratagem, and so you can pretty much call in another one without any cooldown. So you can have 2 mechs straight away. So that means you can call in one and just play around and drive it like you stole it, and then without fear of having to wait 10 minutes for another exosuit, call down another one, away you go. Other cool thing is, as the exosuits drop in, the pelican that drops it in actually fires at any surrounding enemies. And the gunfire from the pelican suit can be quite powerful. This time when I was calling in the exosuit, it actually destroyed a tank in the background. It was just seemed to be at the perfect angle for the pelican to get shots on its weak spot. Right, that's the basics. Let's talk about movement. You can go forwards, you can go backwards, and you can strafe. Unfortunately, the turret is not separate from your movement. You can't run forwards and pivot your turret behind you so you can shoot behind you. You move in the direction that your turret is facing. Strafing is definitely slower than moving forwards and backwards. You can't pick up items. You can't carry items like the SSD. Any backpack equipment like the guard dog will return to you. You can't use grenades. You can't dive. You can't jump. These are all probably what you would expect, but you can heal. Right, still on the topic of movement, if you take enough damage, you will start to catch a light, and this will actually affect your top movement speed. You're kind of limp, and at this point, you're better off just using all your ammunition and getting out of there. Now, I'm sure many of you have already heard, but you can't replenish your rockets or your machine gun. Once they're gone, but you can run over and squish smaller enemies. They just take vehicular damage, I think, when you run over them. There is a melee, like a foot stomp, that you can also do. Larger enemies are more difficult to sort of squish. I think they just take a little bit of damage from the vehicle and then eventually they'll die, but it is most effective on the small enemies you can kind of just squish. And here's the foot stomp that I mentioned. If you just press the melee button, you sort of lunge forward with your left foot and squish the bugs. It is useful, however, there is a catch. If you take too much damage, you will lose access to the foot stomp. You can't stomp on enemies anymore, and I think that's because I imagine when they first made this, maybe it was too powerful, and you would just run into everywhere and just stomp everything, because you really do want to preserve your ammo. And so I think the way they combated that is once you take a little bit too much damage, you actually just lose the ability to stomp your feet. Just in case you're wondering, you can't foot stomp bug holes to close them. I thought that would be really cool. Maybe that would be too powerful to be able to stomp on bug holes. Right, let's talk about the weapons, the rocket launcher and the machine gun. Like I said before, once you've used all of your ammo, you do not get it back. You start off with 14 rockets and about 1,000 machine gun bullets, and once you use them, that's it, they're gone. So what can they do? The rocket launcher can two-shot a charger in the face, or you could shoot its front leg like you would normally do to remove the armor. And it only takes one shot to remove the armor on the front leg, and then you can burst it down with your machine gun. Because ammo is so precious in the mech, I do prefer to target the front leg. I actually think it's more consistent in my testing anyway to shoot the front leg rather than wasting 2 rockets on their head. I seem to always knock off the armor off the front leg, and then the added benefit of that is then your whole team can actually shoot the front leg and take down the charges. So I prefer not to waste 2 on the head, and I found that sometimes I would actually use like 3 or 4 because it just wouldn't hit the hitbox right. So I actually prefer to target the front leg rather than the head on the charges. Another thing to note with the charges, you likely know that they target turrets. Like if you have a Gatling gun, they'll go after the Gatling gun, take it down first, and then come for you. It was useful to know that they don't target the mechs if nobody's in them. So you can jump out and they're just, I don't know, they're not aggroed onto the mechs if they're empty. Of course, you can also use the rocket launcher to destroy bug holes. I would not recommend doing this unless you're really desperate. Like I said, the rockets are extremely powerful, but also extremely limited, and it feels like a waste to use them on getting rid of bug nests. Similarly, you can use them on objectives like spores or the illegal radio broadcast towers. Maybe that's okay just to use 1 rocket there, but just remember, you only got 14. Right, let's move along to Bile Titans. 2 direct hits to the Bile Titan's head and you'll get it dead. I often found though in reality it would take 3, but you definitely can do it in 2 if you get good hits on the face of the Titan. Be careful though, because if they get too close and you blow them up, as their body comes down, it will one tap you in your mech suit. And while it's really fun to spam rockets, you really do have to hit the head for the Bile Titans. Otherwise, you'll just, I think I just shoot 3 shots in and the Titan's still coming for me. The machine gun absolutely destroys the bugs. It will go through everything except for the charger and the Bile Titan. So you're heavily armored and your massive units, it will ricochet off them. Alright, moving on to automatons. If Hulks are coming at you directly head on, I found it takes 3 shots to take them out. I don't know if that's lessened if you hit them directly in the faceplate, but functionally I just find that didn't really happen. Even when I had access and I could see there's a weak spot on their back and got a rocket on that, I still found it took 3 shots. Well, it was inconsistent. One time it took 3 and another time it actually took 2. So I'm not too sure. I must have just maybe missed that grill the first time. Yeah, so this Hulk only took 2 shots, 1 directly to the back plate and then 1 at the front, and that took him out. But in general, I found over my gameplay time, I took 3 rockets to take out a Hulk. You can also take out those big turrets that shoot lasers at you. 2 shots right to the tippity top of the turret and that will blow up. You don't have to hit the weak spot or anything, you just got to aim for the top of the turret. Honestly, on a little side note here, you can take a fair bit of like light arms fire, but the automatons are so intense. As soon as you get to people shooting rockets at you, whether it's Hulks or Devastators, like it is tough. And because you don't really have a good speed, it is definitely harder using the mechs on the automatons than the bugs. Right, let's talk tanks. The lighter tanks that just have like the machine guns, I found I could shoot them just at the top of the turret with 1 rocket and it would blow up. I had mixed results with the Annihilator tanks, or the more heavy duty tanks. This one here that comes down, I actually just shot once and blew it up. I think I must have been close to the back of it. Maybe the splash damage got the weak spot. Otherwise, I typically found it was 2 shots to the turret and it would blow up. Then again, I also had other experiences where sometimes it took 3 shots. Similar to bug holes, you can destroy the factories with your rockets. For whatever reason, I don't know if I was just unlucky here, but I couldn't get it through the door. Normally you can throw grenades through the doors to blow factories up, but you can just shoot the top vents and you'll blow up the factories with the automatons. Similar to the bug holes, I don't think it's worth wasting rockets on destroying factories. The thing with the automatons is every little dude is kind of annoying. Your Gatling gun is not very effective against them. It ricochets off the striders. It ricochets off the dudes with the shields. And so that means you have to use a rocket on the strider, because normally I use grenades on the strider, like a grenade launcher on the strider, or get behind them. You're not quick enough to get behind them, and you can't really shoot accurately to get the guy's head. So you have to use a rocket on the strider. And if you shoot rockets at the guys with the shields, it's complete waste. It takes like 3 rockets. So you got to try aim for the head, and you do kind of burn through your ammo. In general, I really do think you need to have a strong team composition to be used in the mechs with the automatons. Someone with a grenade launcher is very effective. You need to kind of have your team covering the small guys while you can take out the tanks and the towers. Right, let's talk damage. You can soak up a fair bit of damage from all the light guys, whether they're automatons or bugs. They still will do damage though. You're not like immune. They will do damage to you. While you can take a lot of light fire from the automatons, as soon as rockets get involved, they take you down insanely fast. Even the small dudes with rockets will absolutely wreck your day. Those laser cannons, 1 shot, and you are dead. Right, moving on to charges. I heard someone say that they get 1 shot from charges. I didn't find that was my experience. This guy charged me multiple times. I didn't die. It did happen once in another round, but I actually was already a bit weak. And when I repeated this multiple times, I didn't die to charges one-shotting me or anything like that. That being said, this probably shouldn't happen. You can really take out charges pretty easy in the mech. They're a good matchup for you. That being said, when they do their other move, when they go on their back legs, that does seem to do a lot of damage to you. Right, like you saw probably in the last clip, you can still get 1 shot from Bile Titans by being stepped on, so make sure you're not anywhere near them. Right, here's a cool thing. Fire on the ground you are resistant to. I tried the incendiary grenades, I tried napalm, and I even went to the planet that had the volcano erupting and I stood in fire. It does like no damage to you, which is really cool because it means that you can drag enemies through. You can pull enemy through like fire that's on the ground, especially in the volcano maps that has that environmental condition. Or you can use napalm strikes and pull enemies through it, and you can walk through it without taking damage. The enemies will take fire damage. Now, while you don't take damage to fire that's on the ground, a direct flamethrower will destroy your mech. I'm assuming that's because there are hulks with flamethrowers, so it'd be a bit unrealistic, it'd be a bit unfair if your mech was immune to that. The bile from a Bile Titan, the spear from Bile Titan is still incredibly powerful. You don't want to get caught by that. You need to blast off your rockets before that happens. And this is what I was talking about before. Just like these mini enemies, these medium enemies, the rocket barrage will absolutely wreck your day. Another interesting thing here, if I slow down the clip, I actually have a shield backpack on, and you can see that I actually tanked some of the rockets and it took damage. It went off and then my mech took the damage. So I guess your shield kind of passes through the mech, gives you a little bit extra health. This is kind of why you need backup when you're playing an exosuit on the automatons. All the dudes with the rockets absolutely destroy you. You cannot stand still ever. You got to keep on moving. Right, you might have noticed in one of the previous clips, but I lost my arm, and you can actually shoot off the arms of the mech, and then you just have like no weapons. Enemies can do this to you. It is pretty rare. Like, they gotta kind of hit you in the arms. You're more likely just to die. But you can just shoot the arms off, run around with no equipment. Overall, the exosuit's really fun. It is fantastic for the bugs. It takes down charges very easy. It takes down bile tines very easy. It's pretty easy to conserve your ammo. Against the automatons, I think it takes a lot more teamwork and coordination. I feel like you basically need your team protecting you, and I feel like you're a bit of a glass cannon when it comes to the automatons. You're there to take out the tanks, the hulks, the towers, but you need someone to clear the striders, the dudes with the barricades. Personally, I think one of the best loadouts right now for automatons is to have a grenade launcher. Grenade launcher just deals with everyone. If you have someone with a grenade launcher and a supply backpack, they can clear out all the little dudes and your mech can focus on the big guys. And there you have it. That's all I know about the exosuits right now. If you'd like to support the channel and cannot leave a comment, you can leave the word exosuit. As usual, it's been a pleasure. This is Myelin Games. Peace.